Okay, as you probably saw, I failed to start it. I have replaced all the gaskets and the rubber thingies for the metering and all the metal parts and feathers. Springs. So something's wrong there, apparently. Perhaps I did something wrong, put some gasket in the wrong order, or some of the screws are wrong. I don't know. I have to check it. But I think before I do that, I think I will remove the actual chain and the, I don't know what it's called, the chain sword here, and perhaps open up a little bit to make it easier, more easy to quickly test. So I'll do that. And as you can see, this is the chain brake, which is broken here. That's also something I need to fix later. Okay, so now the chain and the chain sword is gone. This is the clutch, the chain brake. Well, chain brake was the one I removed. Here's the muffler. Looks clean. And here is the spark plug and the fuel tank. This, I think, is just a protection so that this cord doesn't get too close to this and gets hot and melts. It doesn't quite go in as far as I want. And you have that little latch there. So if you get it like this, there we go. This is kind of worn down here. Well, Okay, now I have taken the chainsaw apart and I need to think about what to do next. What should I troubleshoot? So, this chainsaw has a 2-stroke petrol engine. That means the piston does 2 motions before the spark plug ignites, goes up and down, compared to a 4-stroke engine that ignites the spark plug after 4 motions of the pistons. Plus the 4-stroke engine is a bit more complex and does other things as well. So a 2-stroke engine needs a couple of basic things to work, and these are a spark to fire the fuel, and needs compression inside the cylinder, and it needs of course fuel and air. What I've done so far is dealing with the carburetor, and that's responsible for getting a mixture of fuel and air into the cylinder, which I thought was a problem. So before I go any further with that, I will check the other necessary parts, spark and compression. To test the spark, I find it easiest just to remove the spark plug and reconnect it to the spark plug cable, then set the spark plug so that the upper metal parts touch the engine block somewhere, just as it does when it's screwed in. After that, I just turn on the chainsaw and do a couple of pulls on the starter cord. I should see sparks on every full turn of the flywheel. And that seems to work here, as you can see. No need to investigate that any further. The other thing to test is compression. This means the air pressure that builds up in the cylinder when the piston moves up and down. This is necessary to compress the air and fuel mixture. Now, I know that the compression is good. I can tell that by just pulling the cord that there is resistance. If it was too easy to pull the cord, there could be air leaks somewhere. And a very simple way to test this is to simply remove the spark plug as I did before, and when removed it opens up a large hole at the top of the cylinder, in this case. And when I pull the cord there is much less resistance. So I think the compression in this case should be as it should. So, I'm back at fuel and air. I can't think of anything else that could be the problem here. The engine simply does not get the correct amount of fuel and air. That's what I think. Now, there could be a number of problems causing this. Of course, the carburetor could still be faulty. It could be dirt inside or something else inside is broken. It could be a leak. Or if I did something wrong when putting it together. I also think I should get a new fuel filter and fuel cable, since both of them are very old. That could very well be the problem if they are not letting fuel in as they should. And also the impulse line should be replaced, since if that doesn't provide the vacuum pump function correctly, then nothing will happen in the carburetor. So I'll start by getting a new fuel filter and those 2 hoses. I am so sorry, but I actually forgot to record when replacing the impulse line and fuel filter. But you can see the new impulse line here. It's the new transparent hose instead of the black one that was here previously. And you can see the old fuel line, which is still the black one. It's the same material as the impulse line was before. I could not get a new fuel line since it's a special one, and the ones I tested did not work. It has a special shape. But I think the current hose is fine, since I have tested to see that it lets fluids through. And after this, I'm left with the carburetor. So, what I'm going to do now is to disassemble the carburetor completely, including removing the Welsh plug, and then clean everything as thorough as possible by using an ultrasonic cleaner and some small brushes and so on, so it gets really clean. Since you already have seen how I took the carburetor apart in a previous episode, I will fast forward a lot here and focus on the new steps that you haven't seen before. Before I reassemble everything, I thought I'd be more thorough here and test the different parts of the carburetor. The first test is to see if fuel can pass through the pump and onto the metering side. To do this, I need to put the pump diaphragm and the gasket on and screw on the lid. If I then blow air into the fuel input, air should go out on the metering side through the needle hole, the hole where the needle should be. If air comes out anywhere else, then I have a leak somewhere. And if nothing comes out, there is a blockage somewhere. Not sure if you can hear the air coming out through the hole, but it is. That means this part is okay. The next thing to test is when I put the needle back in the hole and holding it down and blow through the fuel input, air should not come out anywhere at all. And this also works when I test that, so this is really good. Then I test the check valve. This little device should let air go through from one side only. To test this, I put a small hose on the bottom part of it, just to cover the bottom hole that's in it, and blow from both sides. It should only be possible to blow from the top part, and as you perhaps can hear, that works too. Since all the things I've tested so far works, there's only one thing left that can be the main issue with my chainsaw, and that is the metering function. All the components there are new, so the only thing that might be wrong is the setting of the lever that controls the inlet needle. But the thing here is that I already adjusted that to the correct height before, which is to set it just slightly below the upper region of the carburetor side. I searched the web for this info, but I couldn't find anything that referred to my exact carburetor model, but it seems that almost all carburetors should have the lever set to that position. And I actually sent an email to Sama asking this question for this carburetor and got that answer from a representative. So before I did this next adjustment, I did some more research and looked at the Z gauge that Sama makes as a guide and help when adjusting the lever. I knew about this tool before, but never really analyzed it until now. My carburetor model is C11702A, and you can see the C1 on the tool at the lower left. And when I look at the side of the tool, I found that it has a little protruding piece in the middle. That must mean that the lever should be set lower, and probably level with the carburetor's cavity floor. So that is what I'm going to set it to. And here is the final test of the metering lever in its new lower position. When I blow on the hose, it's airtight, until I push down on the lever. Then air comes out through the needle hole. Perfect!